Automation has a campaign mode that hardly anyone uses. That's where I come in and make use of this feature. It will be vastly different compared to the sandbox mode because you need to take into consideration how well your car will sell, how reliable it is, and what consumers want when buying a car. Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and this is the campaign menu. And with the company name right here, well, recently in a poll that I've done like a couple of weeks ago or something like that, I had 4 different manufacturers to choose from, and apparently in first place is the car company Ueno, which is a JDM company similar to Ueno and Toyota. So without further ado, let's create our first car company in the automation campaign series called Ueno Motor Cars. That'll work out. UMC it is. And the headquarter company, well, Gatsby is pretty much like wannabe America. It's a large, mostly flat and urbanized country with wide, high-quality roads, but harsh winter. Yeah, probably in like North Dakota or something. But they're somewhat wealthy and pay average car taxes. Well, I guess Washington State, I guess. And the second one, Helvetia, Helvetia is a small, mountainous, and somewhat rural country with pristine roads and average weather. Pretty much like freaking Ireland or whatever, I guess. The third country is Frunia, which is a small, hilly, urbanized country with narrow, average quality roads and mild weather, probably like freaking Italy or southeastern Europe. The fourth country, Dalhousie. Dalhousie is a tiny, flat, highly urbanized country with great quality roads and very mild weather. Its people are very wealthy and pay high car taxes. This is probably goddamn Saudi Arabia or something, or the UAE. And the fifth country, Arcana. Arcana is a large, mostly hilly and rural country with poor quality roads and average weather, like frickin' Russia or something like that, the more hardcore Slavic areas of Russia, former Soviet Union. So I checked out these countries at the top of my mind, and I'm going to be choosing the country of Frunia, which Ueno will be headquartered at. And to make things a little bit of a challenge, let's change the difficult preset. Instead of casual, maybe a medium will do. We'll start at $400 million. And dealerships, all stuff level 3, engineering time 100%, and all that good stuff. And we will be starting at the year of 1946, which is the base year in this game. So anyways, let's click on Start Campaign and see what we got up in here. So here's a random car. Welcome to Light Campaign V4.2. Congratulations on starting Ueno Motor Cars. Thanks to America nuking goddamn Japan because of the Oppenheimer movie. Your family connections have granted you access to a level 3 car dealership network. This will allow you to sell cars in Frunia, 1946, Hestia, Frunia, yada yada yada. So begin new car project. So, alright, select a target demographic, basically a family car, sports car, and this and that. And since Ueno is, like what I said, a JDM car company, which roads in Japan are not that huge compared to America, let's start things off with a basic old city car. And the AI is not going to generate this, so it's manually create a car from scratch, which will do this, and what will happen here? Oh, it brings us to the car selection screen. So let's see what car that we can choose. We can choose freaking Filament 86's race car and cheat the game. I might as well choose this guy right here, the 2.3-ish meter wheelbase body, made in freaking 1940. So with the panel material of this here car, since it's a year of 1946, we don't really have much of a choice here, so a steel panel material with a ladder type of chassis, also made out of steel. Front engine placement, front longitudinal, and for the suspension here, maybe coil up front, and the rear, I guess semi-trailing arm for the heck of it? For the engine, I guess maybe an inline 4 engine would probably work up in here. And since engines back in the day, they didn't really matter too much on the bore and all that good stuff, so maybe the bore, let's do 83 up here and make this thing like a super stroker, probably 100 so millimeters. Make this like a 2.2 liter, yeah. Okay, so 2.2 liter engine with the bore at 83.5 millimeters and the stroke set to exactly 100 millimeters to get the engine size to 2,190 cubic centimeters. And good old push rod, top of heads, cast iron set by default. And I guess the internal is pretty much cast everything, with a harmonic damper implemented to reduce the chance of the turbocharger, goddamn. The crankshaft exploded due to high RPM stress, and torsional vibrations too. For the compression and all this good stuff, I might as well, let's bump this up to 4,000 RPM and tune this a little bit later to see what we're doing here. And no such thing as a turbocharger for cars or superchargers at the moment, because 4.3 ain't out yet. And a carburetor, oh boy. It's been a while since I did a carburetor type of setup on here, so let's just use just a single barrel, single carb setup with a standard low intake. And for the exhaust, so for the headers, I guess cast mid headers with the exhaust diameter size 1.75 inches, I guess. And none first, baffled second. We got some work to do. It's 95 pounds-feet of torque, 58.4 horsepower. Damn. Well, the good news is that the engine has a lot of unutilized octane, so let's jab this bad boy to the frickin' roof. Okay, here we go. 70-something horsepower, so 8.4 would do. Well, the thing is, with our pistons and con rods and crankshaft, is that we're RPM-ed up to like a little over 4,000-ish RPM, so we're at 4,000 right now in redline. But the pistons and con rods are about to blow real soon, and also the pistons and con rods and the torque stress is getting high too. So if I drop the cam profile, this will increase torque, but will decrease horsepower along the way. And even dropping the springs here, we're getting dangerously close to the limit for the 666. I could stop here if I want to. What if it increases to a balancing shaft? Okay, now I got room to work with. Nice. Alright, so finally I got this entire engine tuned and all that good stuff to a healthy amount in terms of the power, and especially with the torque. So currently it makes 64.5 horsepower at 3,700 RPM with a torque rating of exactly 103 pounds-feet of torque at 2,300 RPM. So it is indeed within the stress rating of the pistons and con rods with the torque limiting up in here. But I know if you would increase this to like maybe 106, 7 or something like that, then that's where the reliability factor will really start to kick in, making this engine more unreliable due to the high torque load. I didn't want any of that, so I just said screw it, put this at 103, and just keep it as is. So let's give you a brief listen to this engine right here. That's surprisingly pretty quiet. With 2 baffled buffers, this does a pretty good damn job with the noise and all that stuff. So for the drive type, it's obvious. Rear drive with a manual 3-on-the-tree 3-speed. Either I could probably use a column shifter or just a force shifter. I haven't really decided on this car yet. So what's the top speed? We can get up to 87.62 miles an hour. Let's do 80... Let's see. 80.8 miles an hour because we don't want to increase the tire cost multiplier to an N status, so an M status will probably do to reduce the overall cost of this car. And for the tires, we already got the cross-ply tires on here, so let's use the hard long life setting, the tire choice, and the size, I guess keep it at 145s, rim size, tire diameter, all good. But we have to do something with the rim offset, so let's do, I guess, no, 20s up front and 20s in the back, I assume. Let's see how that works. Yeah, 20s up front, 20s in the back. And the brakes, both drum single shoes, so the front will be 2 20s, the rear 180s, drop the brake force quite a bit, nice. Under tray, who needs that? Brake airflow, I guess 10 will do, because it's 1946, they didn't really care about this. And for the seats up in here, with the interior, I guess standard would do with, oh, no standard radio. None will have to do it. I'll probably make a premium trim model just for the heck of it. Maybe this would be the like standard trim model and the LX or Lux trim model for the step-up version that has premium seats and a radio. But this is the base model, so none whatsoever. So the driver aids and safety factors and all that stuff. I guess a manual rack and pinion type of steering with just standard issue 1940 standard safety standards, and there we go. Suspension. Standard springs, twin tube dampers, passive sway bars. Start off with normal preset to see where we're at. Damn, it loaded right away compared to the sandbox mode where it's like loading. Well, okay, here you go. But this is a whole different story. And for the city demographic, not that great. I mean, it makes 19.3 miles per gallon. I think I should have made this like a frickin' family car or something like that, not a city car. This is probably gonna be front brake force is too low. Let's do something about that real quick. Give me a second. Okay, brakes are now in good shape, to a point. So apparently looking at the demographics for a fun car, the comfort is terrible and the fuel economy is a mid. It does good pretty much damn near somewhat everything, not that much of prestige or safety ratings. God damn, man. But it does great in drivability, but wait, desirability, that's where I'm at, and competitor gained is my competition, I guess? It recommends a recirculating ball type of steering, so driver aids and changes to a ball. Well, first of all, let's get out of this demographic. What if we just hold car and use a recirculating ball? Oh, it does good in drivability, sportiness. Sportiness is terrible, but I meant comfort and everything. Oh, look at this. It went from like a palish green, so 51.1%, 50.5. I know the darker it turns green means it's doing pretty good. And this is more like a pukey green, so this is doing bad with the rack and pinion, so a ball type of steering will probably do, and maybe for the seats. Maybe just a basic 4-seater. It looks like... oh, it looks like it does a little bit better in the city factor, as it improves the comfort rating, less in drivability, less in weight of course, and makes the car a tad more affordable. So the low comfort is due to the gearbox. I mean, this is the 40s, everybody uses manual transmissions nowadays. I guess the best I can do is make this a damn city budget car, but anyways... since I'm pretty much done with the general, like the engineering status of this car, what if I just go here to complete design? Wait, hold up. I got design an exterior real quick. I think I sign off on the car, yeah, complete design, so I'm not done yet, so right now, let's get an interior and exterior of this design, hopefully an interior with this car. I'll design just the exterior design of the base model car and pretty much clone the car and all that stuff and make a more luxury premium trim model of this exact car to pretty much stay in line with the city demographics, get ahead of our competition, and all that good stuff. So anyways, let's start the time lapse of this car design right now. So for the design of this car, I struggled a bit with the front end trying to choose which grille fits with this car, even though building a 1940s car isn't my strong suit. Anyways, for the front, I thought about trying to loosely rip off the grille design similar to a Toyota SA, which was a sedan made around that time period. I ended up ditching this idea and went with a single, frowny looking grille fixture. I also added these thick chrome grille bars to add some design to the front end of the grille, including a thin chrome line that goes above the Ueno U logo all the way up to the bottom of the windshield. For the sides, it's quite basic. I have a set of door handles and a single side view mirror, which was common in Japan around this time period. Either they had no mirrors or just one on the driver's side. For the back, it's also quite basic to a certain point. I add a pair of elliptical taillights with an integrated turn indicators in the middle surrounding the brake light, along with adding the only, quote-unquote only, Japanese license plate, the rear chrome bumper, and the Ueno logo. Now for the interior, I apologize for the camera work as I used the free cam to see what I was doing when designing an interior. And for the designing part, this was a huge pain in the ass. So, I had trouble finding a decent dashboard complete with a speedometer, steering wheel, and other accessories. This old interior mod pack that I downloaded off the Automation Steam Workshop had individual parts and completed dashboards. I scoured through every part, finding the right one that fits with this car and nearly matches the 1940s era. I end up settling for this complete dashboard with the speedo and radio that's flipped the other way since the mod author didn't provide any separate fixtures with this particular dashboard. I also struggled a bit with the seats, seeing that it's a coupe. So I tried to find some good seats, but they were way too wide for the steering wheel position. I end up settling on this bench seat with a side handle, mimicking a fold-down type of seat feature to allow people who want to sit in the back, like every other coupe in the real world. After that's all done, I painted this car to a light yellow looking color and made some final adjustments to the interior. So, after getting everything done with this build, here's what it came out. This is the 1946 Ueno CB. This city car is the company's first car ever made. With a decent engine and sleek styling, will this car make its harrowing debut to the automotive world? Let's find out later how well it performs and sells. Alrighty, so finally I got the Model CB car all set and done here with an interior that was a pain in the ass to make, which I just said just seconds ago. So before we sign off on this car, not just bring it over to BeamNG.drive immediately, so before we sign off on this car, despite the only 2 problems that we got, such as the low load capacity, the front tires being quite wide, let's sign this off and complete the design to see what we can do, which brings us right here. Click here if you want to create another car trim by cloning your existing trim. Yes, that's what I want to do. So from a base model to, I guess, Lux for luxury. And these are just superficial upgrades to the car, just like a premium interior and a premium AM radio, and I think that's it. So again, Lux, premium interior, premium AM radio. Now it's a true city car and a city budget car and city this and that. Nice. And on top of that, let's change up the color of this bad boy, so it changes from like a creamy looking like stereotypical Japanese yellow to a silvery looking color where the hex value is called Nice, so change that up, and same thing with the pillar trim, which is kind of interesting. So pillar trim, same thing, Myzornis. That's our color name. And the yellow car name was Putoo! Now, same type of engine, sign off on the luxury model, and let's see what we can do with the base levels and luxury models. So click here to continue the factory selection. And here we go. So what we got here in green, engineering time looks okay-ish in cost, but production units seems like it's a mid. So looking at here, so tooling, let's try to like maybe automate this just a tad up in here. Maybe a 48. I mean, what's the green? It means this is better. It's just base value 14, total 12.6. So the greener it is, the better it is with the actual total engineering time. Okay. I guess keep the sliders as is except for a 47 on the tooling slider and the engine. So this engine project is not ready to sign off, so let's sign this off somehow. Oh, same thing, tooling, process, reliability, and all that stuff. So it appears tooling's okay, engineering's okay, production units mid. Let's automate the engine just a smidge, maybe a 53 there. Keep it everything as is and work, maybe 51. May not be the best, but whatever. So next panel, so what we got here, predicted load and matching load of this graph here, which is like on how many shifts it takes to build an engine, this equilibrium line or whatever, or something like that. And factory config has not been confirmed. So do we have to like get like a factory going and okay, here's our factory. Staff required 960, months until first shift 3, months until 2.5 shifts 7. But since we got $400 million in the bank right now, I'll just keep the factory as is. And how much for a $40 million for a quality assurance testing Q&A? I guess we'll hold off on any of the upgrades to our factory, so keep it as is, wages and worker quality. As is 50, worker wages, which will require us to pay these guys more, but keep it 50-50, 100 on the wages, 50 on the worker quality, so keep it as is. And the thresholds of everything, let's see, average total cost 1.15k, seems fair enough right here, so it's completed design, and will this sign off the engine? I think it did, and Engine Factory 1. You know, let's change our engine factory name. Let's call this bad boy Frunia Tooling Company. Guess so? No, not company, tooling plant. There. Frunia Tooling Plant is our main factory, so sign this off for the engine, our 2.2 liter engine, the Type Q engine. Now we gotta do the same thing for the car, and Car Factory 1. This is not gonna be Car Factory 1, we'll do all this later. And it seems like we're about to be making possible profit of $5,000, something. Everything as is, tooling quality, threshold, automation, all that stuff, so keep it as is. And Car Factory. What will be the capital of Frunia for our car assembly plant? Fruity Assembly Plant. Yes, Fruity Assembly Plant. Did I spell it right? No, I didn't. There we go, Fruity, there we go. It appears that just a matter of just a few years, we make a big buck up in here. We got year 10 and $382 billion of this car, but it's requiring a 10% deposit down. And the luxury model cost to dealers. Let's see here. Let's say, can I just like round this number up to like 70, 670 and calculate? We're gonna make profit in our first year, nice. And let's ready to sign everything off here for our cars. So it takes a handful of time for our engine and car staff and our car engineering and engine engineering first and our car engineering. So by the time our car factory and engine factory is all built, this will start the production in our car in 1947. So complete the design and this should sign off our cars. And let's take a gamble here. No loan whatsoever because we're going to make a big buck up in here according to the game. And let's sign off on our selected projects. So this will, okay, are you sure you want to sign off on the selected projects? You have not chosen to take out a loan for these projects. I chosen not to, whatever, agree. So we got our cars. Let's hit the pause button to play out what we got here. So we got 400 million. So let's just go on here and new bodies have been unlocked for this year. We got our luxury model. Because people are pre-ordering this car up in here for the luxury model. No marketing activities and we're making some money up in here. We got $2,000 or something like that. Increase, $3,000. Okay, here comes the money. We're going to slow things down. I thought we just made record loss profits. Here we go, $2 million. Looks like we're okay. 366, not that bad. How about more? A little bit more. And I think we should stop at probably the end of the year. So maybe year 7 or month 7. $3 million. I think we should probably hold off until we build another car on here. So let me see if I can export this car to BeamNG.drive to see how this actually performs. Just do a brief drive because of how long this video is for the automation part. So how do I do this? Car projects and go to the car? Alrighty, so we're in the car designer. Yes, we're in the car designer. So let's quickly export this bad boy to BeamNG.drive to see what it's like driving this car and what the people of Japan would be driving if this car were to exist in the real world. So here we are at the Hirochi Raceway with the Ueno CB, the base version of this car. And instead of doing a base performance test like I normally do with the automation and BeamNG, like the sandbox version of this game, of the series, I'm just going to flat out do a time trial run with this vehicle only, which this time trial is going to be just 2 laps only with the short course variant of this racetrack. So get ready to start things off here in 3, 2, 1, I swear. Wheel spin in a car made in 1946, and there's hardly enough wheel spin, even though automation said, damn, there's a lot of wheel spin, calm down like 60-something%. I was hesitant on the steering. Stupid me. So 0 to 62 in 19.63 seconds. Oh man, the steering in 975.32 feet. I'll say, I'm like hesitant on the steering, or it's literally like kind of a pain in the ass to like steer because look at the steering input that I'm putting in and the oversteer graph on like the little steering graph right there, my bottom left. Watch this left-hander. I'll make this left-hander at a moderate speed, 40-something miles an hour. I'm using a controller, by the way, a PS4 controller. Not my sim rig with my Thrustmaster and everything. The little white graph that's like pulling away from the steering wheel is the oversteering factor. It's trying to prevent myself from oversteering with this car. So in reality, it's steering at like maybe 20 or 30 degrees, like not degrees, but 20 or 30% input of the steering wheel, and it's trying not to oversteer. It's like it's turning at like 90 degrees, 100-something degrees, but it can't go further because if it does go further, if I uncheck the oversteering graph, like that factor or whatever, then, like I said, I will be oversteering. That's probably what happens if you use cross-ply tires and manual steering because, well, technology said so because it never really existed back in the day. Lap number 1 is 1 minute 38 seconds, 694 milliseconds. Let's see if we can do better on this first corner. Gotta slow down a little, let off a little. We're going around highway speeds and near top speed, not that bad, and hard on the brakes, let's see. A little bit of a lockup, not that bad. I mean, there's not much we could do with the gonna corner cut. Suspension, unlike that with the tuning and everything, is just made with the springs, the dampers, and the sway bars because of a solid axle front suspension. We have solid axle coil and semi-trailing arm in the rear, which I think that did affect the camber, didn't it? Looks like it did, yeah. Because it's more of a semi-independent suspension, not a locked, like, I forgot what they really call those, like a divorced suspension kind of setup. Whatever, I know solid axle is the old solid axle. You can't really adjust the camber whatsoever because the wheels and everything are strictly attached to the axle combined with the suspension, and the semi-trailing arm or a more independent suspension works independently with the axle and the suspension setup of the vehicle. So final lap time, 1 minute 28 seconds, 769, that's pretty nice milliseconds of a total time of 3 minutes 7 seconds, 463 milliseconds. So almost a exactly 10-second difference from the first lap and the second lap, not that bad, and we put out in a healthy 3rd place in this little results of all of my vehicles I've tested with this layout of the track. So go to free roam and somewhat crash this car because we're going too fast. Oh my god, suspension and fixture breakdown. So what do we got missing up in here? Like, that's missing, bunch of fixtures all over the place, the steering wheel is off, the dashboard, oh my god. And the door cards too have came off, sheesh. I mean, what else could you do with a car that's basically kind of like made using 3D fixtures with the interior and all that good stuff? So anyways, just a one-night stand with this vehicle. Let's drop this bad boy off at the good old leap of depth to see if my first ever car in the automation campaign mode will stand up to these forces of dropping down a cliff. So bring it to the top of the ramp right now. Alrighty, so I got the luxury trim level car all set and done. Let's try to get an interior view. So how do I do this? What is it, external? Oh, we got a driver's seat, but it's on the wrong side of... So anyways, let's get an interior view. So we'll accelerate right now into first gear with this car, into second gear, and damn, it's pretty quiet on the inside. Never mind as we bottom out, and speed. 46 miles per hour upon exit, and oh man, there goes my speedometer. That sucks, so let's just carefully and wait for it. Get a camera. And 32 times slow-mo, face plant into the ground with everything all steel. Holy shysters, there goes the plates. The grill bars, the seats, everything with the interior and exterior have exploded. So I believe the engine is destroyed. Yes, it is, because it's obvious with that type of impact. Full time it all the way. No slow motion necessary because the engine is destroyed, so... Not that much of a hard impact, just sliding down that side of the cliff face. Engine is started to boil. I mean, it's obvious, it's starved, it's hungry, it's famished, because it's just jostling around, flipping out all over the place, and doing all that. And a heavy impact. Bang. What a shot from Curry, even though it didn't bang twice like Mike Breen from ESPN. Neither did that too. And splash down we go to the pond here, and it's still going down, no resistance whatsoever. It's kind of weird how the water physics work with this map here. I mean, the water physics in other maps do work, but not so much on this map. Alright, bringing this car to some flat land. I don't think I have to explain. This just looks like something that just came straight from a frickin' junkyard, a little like metal scrapping facility. All we got is just a tire that's just casually spinning. What if we e-brake? It stops. Thank you, tire. Thank you for stopping, and let me explain what the hell happened. So, it's a power mess. That's what happens when you build a steel car that just breaks apart once you go down a cliff face like you just seen earlier. So for the Ueno CB made in Automation's light campaign version 4.2, well, it's a halfway decent car. In terms of the performance, it handles okay as it has a tendency to oversteer at like 90 degrees on the steering input. The acceleration, braking, and top speed is on par for a car like this in this era. For the looks, it's quite basic yet stylish to a certain point for the exterior as well as the interior. Also, if you have suggestions on what should I improve of my company and my management, let me know down below in the comments for your suggestions so I can really make a profit with my automotive empire. So anyways, that'll do it with Automation, the car company tycoon game with a hint of BeamNG.drive. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. So this is TRIZE Rising Up, and signing out.